Hey, this is Eric Davis with Let's Chop It Up. Space for real men, real conversation, real results. If you are a dude and you have been carrying a lot, the weight of the world has been on you, and you don't have a place to unpack it, you don't have a place to let it all go, you are in the right place. Let me ask you something. You ever gone through the whole day, talk to people, laugh, handle business with, and you really don't know if they know everything that you got going on? That kind of loneliness is different. And it's not about being alone, it's about being unseen, even when you're surrounded by people. That's what we're getting into today. Most men don't feel lonely because they don't have people around them. They feel lonely because they have no one they can be honest with. And we're going to deal with that. Listen, you can be around family, coworkers, friends, and still feel disconnected because the version of you that they see is not the real version of who you are. And that gap from who you are to what you show is where the loneliness lies. Okay, let's look at it like this. You're present, but you're not really known. You're in the crowd, but nobody sees you. You're in the conversation, but you're not of the conversation, if that makes sense. You're standing in a group, but you're not seen. You're not heard. That's what we're dealing with. Most men can trace this back to a specific instant, to a specific moment where you tried to be honest and it wasn't received. You may have been laughed at. You may have been shunned. You may have been pushed to the side. And these are the things that cause you slowly but surely to shut down. You tried to open up, but it didn't go how you thought it would. And all it did was increase your anxiety to open up and be vulnerable and honest. Some of the worst things you were told, just man up. Or just handle it. How do you handle something you know nothing about? You don't know the emotions that you're dealing with. You don't know what you got going on. You don't understand. You're trying to get clarity. You're trying to get direction. You're trying to get to a place where you can at least see daylight in understanding the situations and understanding how to process and how to handle. So how is it you're going to tell me to just handle it when you're looking for guidance from someone and they don't even show up for you? They can't direct you. So we have to be careful once again about allowing those into our safe space, trusting folk, being honest with folk who don't know how to handle what you got going on. And so in the midst of all of that, something in you triggered, something in you adjusted. You say, okay, I'll deal with it myself. But then you slowly but surely stopped communicating what you were feeling. So here's the thing, like most of us, you didn't stop feeling because that's natural. You just stopped talking about it. You just stopped sharing. That's what we mostly do. Okay, if you're going to take me for granted, if you're going to take what I say for granted, let me just shut down. Let me stop talking to you. Y'all know, everything good? I'm all right. You straight? I'm good. I'm straight. I'm chilling. We don't stop feeling. We just stop sharing. And most men will never say that out loud. But that's what we do. Instead of learning how to process, we learn to perform. We learn how to show up. We learn how to be present. So what we learn is we learn how to handle responsibility. We learn how to show up. We learn how to provide. And we definitely learn how to push through. Say what you want. We're going to push through. We're going to keep pushing because nobody really knows what we're dealing with. So I don't have to talk about it. I'll just put all my energy into pushing forward. and let the chips fall where they may. Because what we really need is for someone to teach us how to handle or what to do with what we are dealing with internally. Because that's where the conversation needs to be. What I got going on inside that nobody can see, this turmoil that I got going on inside of me, and I don't have a peace of mind. How can I process what I'm dealing with? Somebody teach me how to deal with this, man, because I'm in trouble right now. And if I don't get some help, I may fall off. What happens after all that is you get good at functioning. You're great at going through the motions, but you don't know how to process what you got going on. And the crazy part is, on the outside, you look like you got everything under control. Come on, man. Let's talk about this. Who do you have that can see through you and see the real version of who you are? Listen, I need you to take a minute and hear me right now. The silence that you deal with, man, protects your image. It protects your outer. But it does not protect your peace. This is where the danger lies for us as men. We can look the part, we can dress it up, and it looks really good. But when we leave the crowd, when we get to ourselves, when we're by ourselves, alone with our thoughts, or can you be at peace when you're by yourself? That's the question I got for you tonight. Can you be at peace when you're alone with your thoughts? What you don't express over time builds up, turns into frustration, turns into stress. You get short-tempered, and you can even be numb to what you got going on. You can become distant. And the thing is, you may never connect it back to the initial problem. You ever felt a certain way and don't understand why? Why you short-tempered? Why you stressed out? Why you distant? Why you don't want to be bothered? Why you on edge? Why is it I think nobody understands me? It's because you feel like you hadn't been seen, haven't been noticed. Here is the let's chop it up question. These comments come from conversations, they come from social media posts, but they all are real questions. And the question is, why do I feel alone even when I've got people around me? How many of us have felt alone even when we're in a group setting, when we've got people around us? It's because we have not felt or understood the value within ourselves. One of the biggest things you can do is take time to yourself and get to know yourself. Understand who you are. Understand what makes you tick. Know your flaws. Know your strengths. If you're anything like me, I don't mind going places by myself. I'll go to a movie by myself if I have to, if I want to. My wife is not a movie person. Normally my daughter and I will go to a movie. But I am perfectly fine with going somewhere by myself. There's nothing better for me than to get up and drive on a Saturday morning. It's peaceful. One of the best drives I've ever had. I was going to Charlotte. It was a Saturday morning. It was 65 degrees. The windows were down. The music was playing. I was talking to God. I was conversating with myself. I was thinking on things. I was being appreciative of who I was. I was appreciative of what God had done for me. Thinking about my family, my friends, my loved ones, my job, the podcast. I was thinking about things that I had been preparing for. And I understood that the life I've been given is great. I'm happy with who I am. I'm thankful for what I have and who I have in my life. And I'm satisfied with the version of me, with this version of me. And I think a lot of times we have to be satisfied with who we are. And if you're not satisfied, you need to do something about it and change it. That's why a lot of times we don't get peace when we're alone, because we're not happy with who we are. Everything that you've dealt with up to this point has led you to the place where you have to make a decision. Are you going to be at peace, or are you going to allow the noise to continue? So if you're secure in who you are, when you get into that crowd, when you get around those people, you don't have to worry about feeling alone or being alone. I understand that I stand out in a crowd. I'm a big dude. I just don't stand out physically. My demeanor, who I am, how I conversate, how I interact, how I engage with people. So I never feel isolated in a group of people. Now, there can be times where some of us may feel, if you're in certain circles, you may feel uncomfortable, but you don't feel lonely. Because if you have security in who you are, if you feel like you can be you in a situation, and there are different versions of you. If you can be you in any setting, then you ain't got to worry about nothing. All right? So, first and foremost, be secure in who you are. Understand who you are. In those private times, in those alone times, I need you to understand that you are more than what you think. You can do more. You have the bandwidth, the capacity to be everything that you want to be. But you got to believe it. Your self-esteem has to be high. Yo, I love me some me. That's what I project because I'm confident who I love me. I don't need you to bump my ego. I don't need you to boost me up. I know who I am. And I think a lot of times we can get so caught up in not knowing who we are that we feel isolated and we look for other people to validate who we are. It's never been meant for anyone to validate who you are. Let me put it to you like this. Being around people is not the same as being known. You can talk all day, not say anything real. Real connection doesn't come from just talking. It comes from being honest. Being honest with yourself about who you are is key. Be honest with yourself about who you are. That way you know what you got to work on. You know your shortcomings. You know your strengths. You know your weaknesses. You know what you can deal with. You know what you're not going to deal with. You know who to deal with, know who not to deal with. And I think those are the biggest conversations that we need to have is who we need to deal with and who we don't need to deal with. Because a lot of us brothers, we get to a place where we think they are boys and we can share everything with you. Everything is not meant to be shared. Like we said, real connection does not come from proximity, not being close around people. It comes from being honest. That's where the truth lies, where you get out of this loneliness, by being honest. You don't have to tell everybody everything, but you need that one place where you can be vulnerable and you can be honest. No put on, no performance, no fake. Be honest and be vulnerable and feel safe in that space that you're in. And once you have that, everything else falls by the wayside. Even if nothing changes, you have that one person you can glean to, you can trust, you can confide in. One real conversation can shift more than 100 short ones. Believe that. Question I need y'all to fill in the chat, get in here. I need y'all to respond back, talk with me about it. What is the one thing that you have dealt with or dealing with, but have never said it out loud? As hurtful as it may be, as embarrassing as it may be, as stressful as it may be, how many of you have had that one thing that you've never talked about? Because most men have an answer for it, but we don't talk about it unless we feel the need to talk about it. Yo, if this conversation resonated with you on today, I need you to help me. I need you to follow, share, like, share it with another brother who you know may need it. That's what I need you to do for me, all right? I need you to stay tuned. Saturday, June 20th, Father's Day weekend, we'll be live at the shop, Barbershop Edition. Cumberland Awesome Barbershop in Fayetteville, North Carolina. 1 o'clock, we're going to be live at the shop. We're going to chop it up. We're going to break down some things. We're going to discuss some things that we as men need to be able to discuss and talk about and hold each other accountable without judgment. Eric Davis, this is Let's Chop It Up. Real men, real conversations. Until next time, we'll chop it up with you soon.